All right, thank you all for being here for the official weigh-ins for UFC 264. First athlete to the scale, one of the men around whom this fight card was built, former UFC interim lightweight champion Dustin the Diamond Poirier. $156, the official weight for Dustin Poirier. All right, next fighter to the scale, the other man around whom this fight card was built, the former simultaneous two-division UFC champion, the iconic, the notorious Conor McGregor. The official weight, 156 pounds for Conor McGregor. Your main event for UFC 264 is official. All right, next fighter to the scale, one half of the co-main event live on pay-per-view, the second-ranked UFC welterweight contender, Gilbert Durinho Burns. $170.5, the official weight for Gilbert Durinho Burns. All right, next athlete to the scale, the other half of the co-main event in the UFC's welterweight division, former two-time world title challenger and number 4 in the world at present, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. $170.5, the official weight for Stephen Thompson. Next fighter to the scale, competing in a prelim live on ESPN in the UFC's middleweight division, Dricus du Plessis. The official weight, 185.5 for Dricus du Plessis. All right, next fighter to the scale, 13th ranked in the UFC's middleweight division, Omari Akhmedov. $185.5, the official weight for Omari Akhmedov. All right, next athlete to the scale in the UFC's welterweight division, Nico the Hybrid Price. The official weight, 169.5 for Nico Price. All right, next up in the UFC's flyweight division, Zhalgas Zhumagulov. $125.5 for Zhalgas Zhumagulov. All right, next fighter to the scale, competing live on pay-per-view tomorrow night, 5th ranked in the UFC's women's bantamweight division, Yana Kunitskaya. The official weight, 134.5 for Yana Kunitskaya. All right, next fighter to the scale, set to make his UFC debut live on pay-per-view tomorrow night in the UFC's bantamweight division, Chris Mutino. $135, the official weight for Chris Mutino. All right, next fighter to the scale, former world title challenger, 7th ranked in the UFC flyweight division, Jessica Eye. 125.5, the official weight for Jessica I. All right, next fighter to the scale. He is one half of the featured prelim in the welterweight division, live on ESPN, Max Payne Griffin. $170.5, the official weight for Max Griffin. All right, next fighter to the scale. First fight of the night in the UFC's middleweight division, Hu Yaotsong. $185.5, the official weight for Hu Yaotsong. All right, next fighter to the scale, charged with opening the pay-per-view tomorrow night in the UFC's bantamweight division, Sugar Sean O'Malley. The official weight, 135.5 for Sugar Sean O'Malley. All right, next fighter to the scale in the UFC's featherweight division, we welcome back the Wizard, Ryan Hall. $145, the official weight for Ryan Hall. All right, next fighter to the scale, competing in a prelim live on ESPN in the UFC's middleweight division, Trevin Giles. $185.5 for Trevin Giles. All right, next athlete to the scale, coming up on his 20th UFC appearance here Saturday night, 15th ranked middleweight contender, Brad Tavares. $184.5, the official weight for Brad Tavares. All right, next fighter to the scale in the UFC flyweight division, former world title challenger, number 4 in the world, Jennifer Maia. The official weight, 125.5 for Jennifer Maia. All right, next fighter to the scale, one of the top contenders in the UFC women's bantamweight division, set to compete live on pay-per-view tomorrow, Irene Aldana. $139.5, the official weight for Irene Aldana. All right, next fighter to the scale in the UFC's heavyweight division, part of your pay-per-view main card, Tai Bam Bam Tuivasa. The official weight, 263 pounds for Tai Tuivasa. All right, next fighter to the scale. You can see him compete live on ESPN in the UFC's featherweight division, the undefeated Ilia Topuria. $145.5, the official weight for Ilia Topuria. All right, next fighter to the scale in the UFC's middleweight division, Alan Amadovsky. $186, the official weight for Alan Amadovsky. All right, look alive out there. Next athlete to the scale in the UFC's welterweight division, the former UFC interim champion, the natural-born killer, Carlos Condit. 171 pounds, the official weight for Carlos Condit. All right, next fighter to the scale, making his second pay-per-view appearance here tomorrow night on the main card at UFC 264 in the heavyweight division, the Prince of War, Greg Hardy. $264.5, the official weight for Greg Hardy. All right, next athlete to the scale, competing live on UFC Fight Pass at UFC 264 in the flyweight division, Jerome Rivera. $125.5, the official weight for Jerome Rivera. All right, our last fighter to weigh in this morning in the UFC's welterweight division, competing live on ESPN tomorrow, Michel Pereira. $170.5, the official weight for Michel Pereira.